Hey, everybody, it's me, W. Kamau Bell. Welcome back to my podcast, Who's With Me, which is based on my Substack, Who's With Me. So you can get the podcast here with me right now, or you can go to my Substack, look up Who's With Me or W. Kamau Bell on Substack, and we can stay in touch. This week, episode 14, is my friend CNN's Sara Sidner. Sara Sidner is one of the co-hosts of the CNN program, CNN News Central. I'm just laughing because it's such a, they used to have it's their morning show. They used to have lots of more fun sounding names for the morning show because the morning show, morning news shows are supposed to be a little bit fun, even when it's CNN and bringing you the news. But now it is CNN News Central. It just makes me laugh because it just sounds so like we're not having fun at CNN anymore, and they may not be for a lot of reasons that we're not going to get into today. Because this episode is just about talking to Sara Sidner about her life and how she got to be the journalist she is. I hadn't had a conversation like this with her before. I didn't really know her background. We talk about that. And also we talk about her very recent, last 3 years battle with breast cancer. She's currently cancer-free. She's training for the New York City Marathon. She's really become quite an advocate and as a survivor, and she's great. And I look forward to talking to her today. Well, I talked to her already. I look forward to sharing that conversation with you in a few minutes. I don't know why I'm saying today. But also, let's get to my stand-up dates before we get to the other things. I will be at the New York Comedy Club in Stamford, Connecticut on September 25th and 26th. You can get the dates from wkamabell.com or go to the New York Comedy Club website. And then I will be in Stanford University on October 1st, which you can get from wkamabell.com or go to stanfordlive.com, I think the website is. And then next year, February 20th, 2027, I'll be at Bellingham, Washington. Anyway, I think I'm just not distracted today, but my brain is definitely processing a lot. I don't know if you've read the news about this ex-Cambridge University professor, Jason Arday, black man, black academic. It's a tragic story. He recently took his own life after a really intense period of being what I would say is bullied by the UK press, definitely bullied by the UK press. So Jason Arday, I had not heard of him until last week or so. I try to pay attention to things going on in the UK, but I had missed this story. But anyway, Jason Arday was the first, I think, black professor at Cambridge. Cambridge is like their Harvard, but I think they would say we're better than Harvard. I'm sure they would, in fact. So he was the first black professor, certainly one of the youngest professors, maybe the youngest professor ever at Cambridge. I don't have all the details down because I'm just talking here. But anyway, he had accomplished a lot in a very short life. And when he told his story, there were many elements to his stories that sounded too good to be true. Athletic achievements, places he had been, things he had done, that sort of built this real legend and myth around him. And at some point, people started to look into it and be like, hey, this is not. But one of the people who looked into it was another professor at Cambridge named Nathan Cofnas. Nathan Cofnas is a white guy who believes in that old school bell curve theory that black people are less intelligent than white people because of genetics and DNA. He's that guy. He had been a professor at Cambridge. Apparently he was so racist, they were like, we got to let you go, man. And his revenge tour was taking down Jason Arday. He made it his mission to take down Jason Arday because he believes that he needs white supremacy to rule the land, like a lot of people do. And Jason Arday, he's like, I got fired from this institution for being a racist, so then I'm going to use racism to take this guy down. Now, it's certainly not a clean story because Jason sounds like he did make up lots of events about his life to help sell the tale. Whatever perfect is, he was not that. And also, he's clearly a dude who struggled with mental health, so I'm sure that all adds into it. So I have a lot of sympathy for that. It just means that the UK, when they found out that his story was probably fabricated in many ways, that there's a certain type of British racism that is even more pure than the American racism we experience as black people in this country. It is more it is uncut. And so they really love to just go on TV on all the channels, even the people who are the so-called left-leaning press, and just tear apart DEI. I didn't even know they called it DEI over there, but they do. And they love to take down this black man. There's glee in the faces of news people and anchors who are like, this black guy lied, and this is why DEI is bad. And this guy, Nathan Cofnas, who was the ex-professor, he said his goal is to try to basically clear out all diversity and especially black people out of academia and leadership roles. That's his goal. And so there's a lot of glee in the UK press about taking on this black man. And also the UK has, you think we have tabloid press. They really invented this, the way tabloid press really, if it bleeds, it leads. There's been hundreds of articles written about Jason Arday and his story. He resigned because of all the controversy. And there was like over 180 articles written after he resigned. So there's really glee in taking this man down. I'm not here to argue about whether or not he lied about his life and the details. It sounds pretty clear that he made up some details. But here's the complicated part. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because that's how I express pain sometimes. Of course, we know this. But they've found examples of white people, white professors in the UK lying about their resumes, plagiarizing, assaulting people, harassing students, sexually harassing students. And there weren't hundreds of articles written about that. And some of them were allowed to keep their jobs. So it's not about the fact that he did something wrong, he should resign. We can talk about that. It's about the fact when black people do something wrong, we get so much more intense pressure, scrutiny. There's any number of times in this country that it just where black people, it's like the 3-strike laws in California, which affected black people and also people of color, is that I don't care if that third strike is stealing a piece of pizza, you're going to jail for life. Like, it's just the ways in which we are over prosecuted and over persecuted over the ways that white people who do similar things or the same things or worse things don't deal with the consequences in the same way. It is so clear in this Jason Arday situation. So the conversation to me and many other black people is not about, did this guy lie about his life and career? That's one conversation. Is the UK gleefully using white supremacy and white supremacist tactics in such a way that this man felt bullied into killing himself? That's the more important conversation. And it's not even, we don't have to answer the question, why is it that white people can get away with more than black people? We know it's because white supremacy is baked into the system of this country, and especially the UK, because that's where they really perfected the original recipe of white supremacy. It's just ugly. And it just reminds me, again, of the Nolan Wells thing. Like, a black person on a good day has to sort of walk around on tender hooks about, is white supremacy coming for me today? Am I going to look up and find white supremacy? There's any number of stories. You know the stories. I don't know the names, but like, there's a black woman who knocked on somebody's house because she was in trouble and needed help, and this man shot her. The Jordan Davis story, he was listening to music too loud, I'm putting in square quotes, and a white man killed him. Like, there's all these stories of black people just living our lives out in the world and being killed or targeted by racism just for living our lives in the world. So, of course, if you find a black person who's actually maybe done something wrong, then white supremacy really goes, oh, we can really go after this guy. And they're making a real case out of what this guy did as a way to say we shouldn't have black people in academia, when, again, there have been many white professors, of course, mostly men, who have plagiarized, assaulted people, harassed people, who maybe lost their jobs but weren't turned into an international story about how white men should not be in academia the way that Jason Arday has been turned into. So I feel, rest in peace, Jason. And that's why I really give it up for black people in media who hold their head up and try to do the right thing, or black people in the world. I'm thinking about Sara Sidner right now. This is my segue to Sara Sidner, but just black people in the world who keep their head up and do the best they can and try to help their fellow person. And Sara is one of those people. She's working at CNN, and CNN's going through it right now. They might be bought by one of the Ellisons, by the lesser Ellison, David Ellison, and that is going to change the network if CNN is bought by the lesser Ellison, David Ellison. But meanwhile, Sara just shows up to work and does her job and really understands what her job is as a journalist, to try to like understand people and highlight impacted voices. And Sara, much like me, used to have that CNN job where she was out there in the field talking to people directly about what was going on in their life, and talking to some of the scary people. We both had our talk to the Klan moments. So, like, I mean, I don't know if she talked to the straight up Klan, but certainly talked to like out loud racists in public. So I really love that Sara is out there, especially at a time when it's hard to be a Black woman out there, just with the current state of America. It's always hard to be a Black woman out there, but specifically at the current state of America under Trump. And I really admire her for sharing her cancer journey with the audience and becoming an advocate for cancer survivors and for cancer research. We talk about the Breast Cancer Research Fund, which is where she's actually raising money. And she's running a New York City marathon. She's training for a New York City marathon, and she's going to raise money for the Breast Cancer Research Fund. So yeah, we'll talk more about that later at the end. But yeah, take it away, Sara Sidner.